It's your man, Andrew Wood, back again. Today I'm going to be talking about all flesh must be eaten. That's right, and indeed it must. What all flesh must be eaten is a zombie apocalypse game. It's about the virus that's gotten loose, the necromancy that's affected the world, the radiation, the explosions, whatever catalyst you want to give for the zombies taking over. Now, it can be either a small localized sort of deal or on the grand epic scale of Resident Evil, some movie lines where the zombies are essentially everywhere and everything, and there are very few humans left alive. And it has a large number of different sorts of zombies that you can create. The game system itself looks vaguely similar to White Wolf system. If someone took a little bit of 3.5 D&D or just the D20 system and sort of tried to throw it in there. Streamlined, I don't really love the game system that well. It has a few problems with it, and particularly in the way that they handle skills. There are 3 different kinds of character types that you can make, but they're sort of universal. It's like 3 different ways to tell the story. There is playing the normal sort of people that have very low skills, very low points, that are very unlikely to actually survive because they are going to be eaten, and rightfully so. But so it gives you that style of play. It also gives you the style of play that the buffer, tougher, stronger sorts of individuals, that the survivors, what they call them, give you a fairly decent shot of actually remaining alive when you're actually having to confront the zombies, because you have more points to spend. And the final type has, you know, the sort of magic, a little bit of faith or miracles or what have you. Not really overblown, ridiculous, over the top stuff as far as what I'd seen. We hadn't played that style, but it definitely gives a bit of a different flavor to the game, being able to have those 3 different sort of character generation options. It also has options, and if you make your character older or younger, that points can go up or down. And it's sort of like points will go down in one area and up like the other. I think I had just made my character older, and he ended up like taking some penalties to his attributes, but he got more skills. You know, which is just kind of a side effect. So the game said, "Oh, and by the way, it's like this." I said, "All right, no problem. We'll just make those adjustments and move on." It also has a number of apparent settings. There's one for pirates. It has one for like pro wrestling style. It's called a Zombie Smackdown. I haven't played that yet, but my buddy said, "Oh, we're going to play that." I like the wrestling style games. If they're done well, your game master, first of all, has to understand wrestling very inside and out. Clack, click, bang, it asked me about that. And you definitely need to understand on both parties what you're doing specifically, or the game is going to turn out to be hokey and just terrible. Otherwise, it can be fun. And we're going to, at some point, hopefully do that. The game master you want to have running this game, you need the game, at least in my mind, has to be taken very, very seriously. I do not enjoy at all anything where zombies start getting silly. I don't think that's fun. I mean, you could take a little bit of you know, Army of Darkness style, maybe mix it in very, very slightly, but you have to be very careful, very clever, and quite very funny yourself to make that work. Otherwise, it's just corny, and I have really no desire at all to play in any sort of games that are corny. I do see them quite often and don't like the corny style pretty much to anything, honestly. I don't like the campy sort of things. Now, if you have the zombies and you're telling that game of suspense, and if you, as a player, allow yourself to get sucked into the idea of these horrible things out there that want to eat you. They want to take your brains or your flesh or what is it ever it is the zombies after. And they could be after different parts of your body depending on what their appetites might be. So it can really have some real interest if you allow yourself. So you, as a player, you have to go in and allow yourself, in my estimation, to go into that deep immersion style so that you can get into and actually feel and experience the horror to at least some fringe degree, or you lose so much of the game. Allowing yourself not even necessarily probably to even get scared, but get something approaching that. Get as close to being scared as possible. The more you can, the more fun you're going to have, the more, you know, you kind of like let your pace get up and really get into the descriptions. You need a game master that can really peg that sort of mood, and with the texture, you can continually express, you know, how dark and how terrible this world is. Also, one of the other great side effects is if you do have it on a large scale, or even on, you know, a scale of a city, that you can start having like power outages, contaminated water, and you have to start sort of scavenging for supplies. To me, I find that sort of game really fun, where you have to go dig around and find cans of soup and things of that nature. It's sort of a very mundane, stark contrast sort of backdrop to actually having to deal with the zombies, having to deal with these horrible situations. And in a modern day setting, there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do. In the game that we played of All Flesh Must Be Eaten, I ran some zombies over in a car, so it was quite fun. You know, you can also, of course, always go get the chainsaw. Nothing is really more fun than going ahead and grabbing a chainsaw and just chainsawing something. And why not chainsaw necrotic flesh? I mean, they're going to eat you after all. There's no reason you shouldn't bring a chainsaw against them. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I'm going to chainsaw them. You know, there's the double-barrel shotgun right to the nugget. And why not explode a nugget or two from these zombies? And that's a great thing. You know, you will get in those combats. You will be able to kill some zombies. You certainly should be smart and intelligent about it. You don't want to get too close, because they don't really have to kill you to kill you. Sometimes all they have to do is scratch you or bite you. And being in a modern day, everyone knows something about zombies, but you have no idea what the Game Master's done with the zombies, and your characters don't have any idea what the Game Master's done to zombies until they start seeing things. So, you know, think about it in a setting. If we're wandering around and there's a bunch of zombies out there all of a sudden, you know, you start really wondering, are they gonna? So there's a bunch of them that it spread somehow. What is this? Is it a disease? What's creating these zombies? What's causing all this? So when you get into that sort of mindset as a player, as a character, you can really get into a deep level of sort of paranoia and suspicion and caution that really makes that a great genre. I think All Flesh Must Be Eaten really makes for a great horror role-playing game. Great suspension of, if you have a great level of suspension of disbelief, you can really get in there and feel the suspense of the game. You can really do a lot with the characters, and even the tension. If you have a high level of tension that there could be zombies at any time, you can have vast tracts of time go by without any of that. The actually, I'm slipping on the name right now. The one was an AMC, the recent zombie show they had on there. I can't think of the name of it. I saw all of it. It was quite good. But the parts I really liked the best was when just absolute nothing is really happening. It's just normal life. They're all sitting around and talking, and you still have that tension that at any second there could be a mass surge of zombies coming in upon them. And that's really what makes the game great in my mind, because most zombies don't really think too much. It's almost like dealing with animals. So one of them could be upon you at any moment, and that can really add a lot of level of tension to the game, a lot of interest in terms of what's going on in this normally mundane sort of background. I think, to me, it works best playing the game right after the zombies hit, damage communication somehow so the players can't really find out or call in more help. They have to solve it, they have to deal with it. I think it works better then than trying to bring it way down the road, because people are so, you know, humans have a great ability to desensitize themselves, and if you live in a world for 5 years where zombies are everywhere, it's like, okay, well, there's just zombies. I don't like that style. I like playing right after it hits and just keep playing through and just seeing how massively mentally scarred and messed up your character is. I'm the kind of player that likes to put on to my characters the trauma and damage they take. You know, if someone goes off to war in real life, you know, they come back really shell-shocked. And having to deal with zombies, seeing people eaten and ripped apart, turning into zombies themselves, I can only imagine the psychological condition of that person's mind that has to witness all that is going to be even vastly worse. So I like to put those aspects into my character and sort of get deep into those, how much it's affected them, how bad that style has created this character, how it's changed his mind about how the world works. So that's what I wanted to say about All Flesh Must Be Eaten. It is a game that uses 10-sided die, and you flip it. If you roll a 10, I think you add 5 to the number, and then subtract 5 if you roll a 1. So you can get some pretty high and low scores because of that. It's the one problem I have with the game in the main book is it has way too few. They give you something that's the equivalent of like feats or merits. I forget exactly what they call it, but they give you way too few of them. And when we played our party, like, we don't make our characters together, and the Game Master did a kind of bad job of paying attention to what people were doing, and we had like almost there was one that every single one of us had picked. So, you know, something you definitely want to look at in terms of maybe picking some extra supplements up. I would say the core book is probably not enough, particularly with that thing, to allow you to play. You might need 3 or 4 books, and we even had the core book and an extra book, but we weren't able to really get enough out of those two for all the merits that they had, the edges, advantages. I can't remember what they were called, but anyway, that's my review of All Flesh Must Be Eaten. If you play the game, let me know what you think. And I'm going to link this up to Rob Pepper's review. I think he did a good review, so you probably want to check that one out too.